forgot to ask, what do you guys think the starting lineup is going to be? And like I said, I think this team needs to be a top 6 seed. I think they're going to be either the 6th seed or a play-in team personally. I see them being in the playoffs, but I don't know how good. But I do want to hear your guys' thoughts. What the starting lineup will be. I think it's Dennis Schroeder, Gary Trent, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poeltl. Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about those Toronto Raptors. So let's get right into today's video. And of course, if you guys haven't been, I don't know if it's not like a movie theater, like been here before, but if you haven't visited the channel, haven't seen one of my videos, then you should hit the subscribe button and understand that what we're doing today is a season long preview prediction, what we expect from the Toronto Raptors this year. So it's just something that we do. So I want to hear your thoughts. This is a team that won 41 games last year, so I expect them to win at least like 45. I think this is a better roster than last year, and I have faith in Darko. Right? Is it Rajakovic or Rajakovic? I feel like I've heard both. But let's talk about the additions, what the rosters look like. First off, Jalen McDaniels on a 2-year, $9.2 million deal could be like the bargain, like signing of the season. Dennis Schroeder on the 2-year, $25, another good deal. They drafted Grady Dick, Marquise Noel on a 2-way. They love those Kansas players. Javon Freeman, Liberty on a 2-way as well. And then they have a couple guys on E10s. They lost Delano Banton, fired Nick Nurse, let Fred VanVleet walk, brought Jakob Poeltl back on that 4-year, $80 million deal, picked up the Gary Trent Jr. player option, and they're probably going to give him an extension. Ron Harper came back and Jeff Dowden came back on that 1-year deal. And for me, when I look at this team, you're going to get Otto Porter coming back. You still have some of it. I would, you lost your floor general and the guy who helped you win a championship in 2019, and you replaced him with Dennis Schroeder. So, it's to each their own, if you think that's, worth it. But what you have to understand is, I think this is a guy that, in Darko, I think is going to ask this team to play hard. And I agree with the thought that Fred VanVleet should have been traded at the deadline if you're going to let him just walk for nothing, or you should have tried to find a sign and trade. Obviously, Scotty Barnes is well worth building around, but you need, a superstar maybe that's younger. And Pascal Siakam and the Raptors aren't talking extension, so we don't really know what's going on there. And so it's definitely curious if you're a Raptors fan, what's going on. So let's just go into what we're expecting here. Again, playoff or bust, hopefully not a play-in. Can they do it? And also, guys, remember, Shams Charania had tweeted that the Raptors traded for Damian Lillard. Allegedly. And I when I look at this team, this is a team that I think is looking to make that jump. For me, what we know is that this is a team in the Raptors that should be better. Okay? Because people look at, I do believe that, I personally think they should trade Pascal Siakam, extend OG Anunoby, keep OG Anunoby because he fits right next to Scotty Barnes, but I personally don't believe that having Pascal Siakam on the roster handicaps Scotty Barnes because they're the same player. Not that they're the same exact player, but they're both point forwards. Different types of point forwards, but they're both point forwards. So if they're both point forwards, I feel like at this point then it would be just counterintuitive to have the same type of players sharing the floor. And you can't go, well, one be the point guard, the other is. So for me, yes, trading Pascal Siakam probably gives you assets. But the thing is that this is a team that the clock is ticking. You got to re-sign Gary Trent. You got to re-sign Pascal Siakam if you're going to keep him. I mean, you got to trade him if you aren't going to re-sign him, okay? So I think we just, Raptors fans, as someone who's a Washington Wizards fan, the biggest problem for the Raptors right now is that they need a window to pull off a win now move, or they got to start asset building, like getting the assets. I think that's the biggest thing. And as someone who is a fan of a team like the Washington Wizards and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Orlando Magic, I understand being upset when you feel like your franchise is stuck not making the decision that it needs to make. Like Orlando, it took us a while, but then we did the fire sale. We were kind of stuck in this perpetual loop of being like a first round exit team. Then we fired Steve Clifford and we said, screw it, we're just gonna blow it up. We traded Evan Fournier to the Knicks. We traded Vooch to the Magic. And we traded Gordon to the Nuggets. And we got assets. Did they all turn out great? I mean, we got RJ Hampton in one of them. So, is RJ Hampton still on the team? No. But that's the thought process, is that like we went out, we got assets, and we chose a direction, which is rebuilding. And I feel like the team's in a better place now than we were 3-4 years ago. Timberwolves. We realized Andrew Wiggins wasn't working. Of course, Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell necessarily didn't work, but we continually retooled the roster to try to maximize around Karl-Anthony Towns. But then now Anthony Edwards is the superstar, so we're trying to maximize. We traded away our guys in, Walker Kessler, and I guess the package was around. Who was it around? I feel like there wasn't like a super big name that was, Jared Vanderbilt and stuff. For Rudy Gobert, we swung. I mean, the Wizards, now we finally blew it up, but for years we were where the Magic were. So I think people need to realize that the Raptors, you're starting to head into the same territory that the Wizards and the Orlando Magic were, where your fans are going to get stuck. Because you guys are not a championship team. We all know that. I know that. My people who don't even watch basketball know that. So what do you do? What do you do? How do you take advantage of the window you have right now? You either got to go swing big, all right, kind of like what the Timberwolves did, and take a chance to capitalize, or you go ahead and you start selling your assets and you start building up draft capital. And I think that this is the season that we see that. If this team is an actual top 6 seed playoff team, I think they're going to keep it together, keep the core together. That means re-sign Gary Trent, re-sign Pascal Siakam, etc. And build around Pascal, OG, and Scotty, and Gary Trent, and Jakob Poeltl. But if it's not, I see them starting to sell the assets, starting to realize, like, hey, we need to come up with an actual plan here that makes sense. And for me, that has to come soon, because they have not done a great job at putting themselves in positions to necessarily be successful in terms of long term. Because there's a good chance that this team, as soon as a guy like, we don't know how good Scotty Barnes is. No offense to Scotty. We don't know how good you are, bud. And I want to know if we'll find out that this is a team that needs to, it's just a process that's just going to continue to, with more time. I think, again, this is a big year. I think this is a big year that we're going to find out what they're made of. So what do you guys think? If there's anything else you guys wanted to hear, let me know. But peace out. Bye-bye.